with thinking about, like, what was your thought process? So when this thing hit you, like at what point did you think, man, this is going to be big, and what should I do? Like, maybe
Well, it's
talk us
just
through that process.
totally. It's so interesting when you kind of think back over the course of the last couple of months and how everything progressed, because it obviously started with China and, you know, other parts of the world. And that was, you know, the first thought was, is this going to affect supply chain? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like brands were seeing that, you know, certain brands were having their supply chain completely cut off, or you were seeing things like the number of flights per day getting cut down. And so the air freight was starting to rise, and there were issues that were affecting the US from a supply chain perspective, but it hadn't hit the consumer yet. It was more from sort of a business to business perspective, and it was affecting the back end of businesses. Then I think when we got into, you know, early March, when we started seeing all the cases pop up in the US, and you know, the news sort of started covering a lot more, I think everyone generally started getting a little worried. And then, you know, kind of thinking back to, I don't remember the exact date. It was like March 9th and March 10th. I can't remember the day that, you know, LA started to like really go under lockdown, but it all happened so quickly.
Yeah.
I think everyone was just in shock. It was, and there were so many different, you know, things that run through your head, right? Because as an entrepreneur, you're thinking about this one, you know, with this in particular, thinking about the safety of yourself, your family. You know, it's not just about business, it's about people, right? And then your second thought goes to, well, what about all of your employees and your team members, and, you know, making sure they're okay, because they're in the same boat and they're thinking about the same things from a personal level you are. And then your mind simultaneously starts jumping to the business, and you're like, well, what does this mean for the business? And how are we going to quickly put a plan in place to deal with it? But it was moving so quickly. The assessment period for assessing what was happening got shortened so much, right? Like I think in 08 or 09, or like any other time there's a recession, you sort of see it coming a little bit, and you have a little bit of time to think about it and adapt. Like a week. Yeah. It was really, really tough. And it was like this, you know, as an entrepreneur, there's so many emotions you go through and you're thinking about, and you want to make the right decision for your team and their safety. And then you got to think about the business. And so it was like a whirlwind, man.